Hello, my name is Jonathan, and I will be today's host for the Personality podcast. I'm in grade 12, and I'm taking psychology for Mr. Matsui. And joining me today is...
Mahina.
Thank you, Mahina, for joining me today. In this podcast, we will be talking about personality and behavior. So the definition of personality is the combination of characteristics or qualities that form an individual's distinctive character. And the definition of behavior is the way in which one acts or conducts oneself, especially towards others. So we're going to be talking about things like nature versus nurture, the effects of culture, family, peer groups, and life experiences, as well as genetic predispositions and the influence that genetics may play on birth defects or brain defects. All right, so my stance on something like nature versus nurture is that nature can set up the basis of someone's personality, but nurture and outside influences is what molds the personality. What do you think, Mahina?
Going off of what you said, I do think that nature is a good start for someone's genetic makeup, though I do think it's nurture that really influences a person's personality and their behavior.
Yeah, thank you. And I think one of the key factors in the personality development of a person is how their school life is. So it's very important that a person builds relationships throughout their entire school career, especially elementary, middle, and high school. I believe that elementary school is mostly about learning to interact with others in respectful ways and just being able to be in groups and be comfortable in them. I believe middle school is similar to elementary school in that case, but it's more about finding specifically what you like and the people that you want to be around. And then high school is strengthening the relationships you've built or further developing your personality and who you want to be. What do you think, Mahina?
I think going off of what you said, yes, school is a very big factor in someone's environment, but also our personalities can also be heavily impacted through our environment by the way that we are raised, from our religion to our family and friends, and the impact of our values throughout life. I think the concept of nurture emphasizes the impact of external influences like family, culture, and life experiences. So the power of an environment can really change someone's lifestyle.
Yeah. Something going off of what you're saying about family and lifestyle, it's been kind of found that genetics play a really big role in how athletic or how someone might look. And so I think that family members also actions, what they do as they're raising a child, it's very important. So if parents, for example, practice like exercise and athleticism when their child is young, it may influence that child throughout their entire life to kind of seek out sports or going to the gym or doing like aerobics and things like that. But then also in their genetics, the parents may have also just been genetically disposed to being athletic and kind of drawn to those type of physical activities.
Yeah. And another thing going off that, I do know that DNA-wise addiction can also run in a family. And it can go down past generations, so maybe that's why some people might have a little more of a hard time quitting things than other people, because they might have addictions that run in their family that are from genetics, and then they might be raised in a nurture environment where there's a lot of alcohol around them too. So
yeah, a personal example of that is my family have a lot of smokers, and also they like to drink a lot. Especially my Samoan side of my family. Parties are very fun, but I can kind of observe the addiction genetic mainly through my uncles and less so my aunties. A lot of them like to day drink and smoke cigarettes and whatnot. And I'm lucky to kind of be understanding of their influence, and also that genetics play a big role in that, because I know my grandfather was a big drinker when my father was young, and I'm really glad that my dad was able to kind of push that away as he was raising my sister and I.
Yeah, and it is honestly a big thing because I do see the effect of it now, and how I see the effect of it now, and how like my cousins growing up, because my whole dad's side of the family is really big drinking. So my cousins growing up, they grew up thinking that it was like socially acceptable to start drinking at 15, 16, 17, and that's why they carry those habits into their adult life, because they were raised around that type of environment. And me being raised, they were raised more like Warman side. Me being raised in Kaimaki with my mom, who has very different values from my dad, it definitely altered the way that I was raised in my environment. So I definitely don't have those type of habits of drinking at this age.
Yeah, I can also observe that in my friends as well. They tend to be kind of more party people, and they like to, do what they do. But I'm glad that I know them and that they're my friends, even still. Okay, so there are a few people that would be really cool to talk about. That would be Sigmund Freud and Erik Erikson, I believe. So Sigmund Freud, he was one of the first psychologists to kind of go into the idea of a subconscious, and that some decisions you make aren't necessarily from the front of your brain or like with your conscious mind. I think that's actually pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And then Erik Erikson did the studies on the stages of life throughout like a toddler's growth, and then all the way up to like the end of someone's life when they get old and they reach that kind of sundown ages. It's those psychologists I think are very cool. What do you think of them, Mahina?
I think that they have a point in their research. I do think that they are both very valid.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. So, okay, how about we talk about some more things about nature now? We already talked about like kind of addictive genetics and whatnot, and like athletic genetics, but sometimes the effects of genetics can be like physical and more about like appearance, and something that kind of runs in my mom's side of my family is bipolar disorder, and that I believe was passed down from my great grandmother to my mom, because my grandmother doesn't display as many bipolar symptoms, but my mom and her siblings do, and also my sister and I don't really show that many symptoms, but it's possible that recessive genetic kind of carries over, like switches between generations. That one, bipolar disorder can have a really big, it can alter personality a lot because it changes how someone might act. For example, there's the depression side and the manic side of bipolar. And so the manic side can cause someone to kind of act erratic and super happy. And then the depression side is really sad, and it like crashes on the person and just crushes their entire life. I think that's one of the parts of genetics that personality can play, is definitely the mental health issues.
Yeah.
What do you think?
And going off on that, definitely mental health is very big on genetics. From my personal experience, I do know that I come from a family that has a lot of ADHD, so I definitely inherited those learning disabilities, and because of that, like me and my mom, we think the exact same way because we both have ADHD, and I think I got it from her. So then our brains both function the same way, which is why we can understand each other more. But like from like an outside view, like we're not very understood.
I see.
But yeah, basically yeah, just the because I had that nature and that genetic ADHD, I was raised with my mom also, so it wasn't really a problem until I started going out more, and then I realized like what I have and what this is, because my environment growing up, everyone in my family also had it.
I see. Yeah. And perfect right there. That's an example of both nature and nurture playing to create a personality. Because as you said, the environment you were raised in was very similar to just the ideas that you had because of your genetics. And that's, I believe, my kind of final ideal, is that personality and that is shaped by both nature and nurture, and that those are very important to the development of a person, of the human mind.
Yep, and just like closing remarks, definitely I do think that nurture is an even bigger influence on our futures and how we act and how we react and the habits that we carry into adulthood. Nurture can start us off with a couple genetics that really base our personality, but I think it's our environment and the way that we are influenced through it, groups and experiences that really shapes us as a person.
Thank you so much, Mahina. We hit the 10-minute and 30-second mark, so I'm gonna close it out now. Thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thank you.
Okay.